What division do you want to start with?
I say we start with the AFC because that's what I have pulled up here,
The AFC East. All right.
or AFC West. Actually, let's go down
Okay.
my AFC West. Who you got winning
Uh,
it?
that's no surprise. It's a team that's dominated AFC West for a good portion of the last decade. That's the Kansas City Chiefs with a 15-2 record and a perfect 6-0 record inside the division.
So we do this thing called playoff predictor. We go game by game and pick the winner without looking at the records or anything, just to see where we're at the end of the year. So it kind of makes it less biased, if in a sense. But I also have the Chiefs winning at 15-2. I think they'll be obviously when you have a quarterback like that and a tight end like that, you're going to score some points.
I'm just so sick of it. I mean, I keep thinking as a Bronco fan, I keep thinking the injury bug's got to bite KC, and I don't like to wish injury upon anybody, but every year it doesn't happen. They stay relatively healthy every single year.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are they drinking in the water there in KC?
I mean, even the Patriots, Tom Brady blew out his knee one year. That's never happened to Pat. I mean, he did have that injury, and Matt Moore stepped in for 2 or 3 weeks, but it wasn't a
Chad Henne.
Well, Matt Moore back. I remember he had to come in against Denver.
Oh, against Denver.
Night.
Okay. Yep. Sorry, I thought you meant last year's ankle
no.
late in the year where Henne had to come
in. But yeah.
Who do you have finishing second?
I have the LA Chargers finishing second at 11-6.
I have the Denver Broncos second.
Of course you do.
At 10-7, not making the playoffs.
Really?
Not making the playoffs.
Dang.
With a 2-4 in division record. So
the AFC is loaded.
It is.
It is absolutely loaded. You have I'd throw Denver in that too because I have them third at 9-8, so I'm not too far off from you.
I have the Chargers third at 8-9, but with a 2-4 in division record.
I mean, you look at this. I mean, you have obviously Cincinnati, Baltimore, and Pittsburgh, Bills, Dolphins, Jets, Jacksonville, all that's what, 9 teams for 7 spots, 10 teams for 7 spots.
There will be teams with winning records on the outside looking in.
For sure. I agree.
And of course, I would love Denver to get in the playoffs, sneak in as a wild card. But if you told me right now they'd finish the season at 10-7, I would take it. They have not had a winning record since 2016. I would even take 9-8. That is improvement. That's progress. Wanting to see improvement. I mean, there's got to be improvement behind center there with number 3, Russell Wilson. There's got to be, or he's done. Interested to see what Sean Payton brings to this team. Saw some positives in the preseason, but that's preseason. They have been bit by the injury bugs, particularly at wide receiver with Tim Patrick out for the year. Jerry Jeudy probably out for the first 3 or 4 weeks at least. They didn't put him on the PUP list, though. So, Denver should have a solid defense, but it's all got to come down to quarterback play at the end of the day. So, and Chargers, they got a good quarterback, Justin Herbert. Got a big contract extension. They had a heartbreaking choke of a loss, being up 27-0 to the Jaguars last year in the playoffs. The Chargers are a team that's always bit by injury. We're talking about Kansas City never is. Chargers always are.
I was just about to say that.
And I honestly think they will be better than the 8-9 record I have them, but that's just sometimes this system makes me look like a goofball because I just go game by game. So
how many years have we had multiple teams going like 0-16, 0-17?
Oh, quite a few.
Yeah.
Yep. So
we both have the Vegas Raiders finishing 4th. What's the record you got?
I got them at 8-9, 2-4. Okay. So I have Denver, LA, and Vegas finishing with the same division record, and LA and Vegas finishing with the same overall record.
I have Vegas finishing 7-10, so I think that's going to be a very competitive division, and it should.
It should be. Yep.
Jimmy G, obviously the quarterback there. He's a downgrade, in my opinion, from Derek Carr.
Yes,
not a huge downgrade.
Yep.
He has more of an Alex Smith style to him, where he's probably not going to turn it over. He'll keep you in games, but I think that defense is terrible, and I don't believe in McDaniels at all.
Devontae Williams is a weapon. Josh Jacobs is a weapon now that he's back after his holdout. But Garoppolo will not finish the year healthy, I'm sure.
Yeah.
That might. I have not seen if Aiden O'Connell is their number 2 or if Brian Hoyer is their number 2.
Man, after the way O'Connell played in the preseason,
you would think he made a case for number 2, but I have not seen who is actually number 2.
Have an emergency third
Correct.
string quarterback. It was just announced today.
Yep. I was reading all about it today. Yeah.
Yeah,
Pretty
they have to be on the 53-man roster, and they can't come in, I believe, before the second, which is a thing that's been normal
Yes.
anyway. But
Yeah. Both your first and second string quarterbacks have to get hurt. They can't come in due to poor play. The first and second string players, either one of them can come back in if they are ruled that they can come back in the game. And also, the third string quarterback has to line up as a quarterback position. Can't be different position. No wildcat, anything like that. So,
interesting.
yeah. Yep. So,
Cool.
what division's next?
AFC North.
AFC North. I gotta pull up a different screenshot here. Here we go. Okay.
I have the Cincinnati Bengals
I have the Cincinnati Bengals as well.
finishing 14-3. I think they're going to be real good.
I have them at 13-4, 4-2 in the division.
Yeah, Joey B hasn't played, obviously, in the preseason. He's banged up, but still, he's been banged up before, and he's been okay. Great receiving core. Joe Mixon, obviously, is there. Chase Brown is there now. I got to throw him in there because he's an Illini. Defense should be pretty good. So I think they're poised to make a run here.
Joe Burrow is my MVP pick for this year. I think he has a big year. I really like this Bengals team a lot. They will be in the mix for a contender to win the Super Bowl. I mean, I got them win the North, and I have them as a pretty high seed in the AFC. So
I have the Baltimore Ravens finishing second.
I do as well.
I think they bounce back this year. Now Lamar's back. I have them at 13-4. I think they're going to be really good.
I have them at 12-5, 4-2 in the division. Do you think Odell Beckham moves the needle for them this year?
No,
I
not
don't
really.
I think he's pretty much
he's
washed.
solid, but
I think he's kind of getting washed.
yeah. Lamar back. I think he'll come back with a vengeance too. That defense is always good. Doesn't matter who you have; they're going to be good.
Yep.
And they'll run the ball really well as well. So
Always. That's a Baltimore staple. Good rushing attack on offense. Great defense. So who do you got finishing third?
Pittsburgh Steelers at 10-7, but missing the playoffs.
I got them at third, also 12-5, 4-2 in the division.
Man.
I think this division, these top three teams are loaded. I think Kenny Pickett's going to have a heck of a year.
I agree.
For the Steelers, I think Najee Harris is going to have a good year. I think they're going to be really solid on both sides of the ball. I don't think there's any heat on Tomlin's seat, but if there is, I think he silences that this year.
Yeah, obviously defense again. That division. I mean, Baltimore and Pittsburgh, years of great defensive play, and now again the way Pittsburgh finished the year, they almost snuck into the playoffs.
Right.
And Kenny Pickett played really well down the stretch, and they're expecting big things from him. So I think they're going to be good.
And we both have the Cleveland Browns, the Brownies, finishing last. What do you got them record-wise?
6-11. I saw somebody say they are a playoff contender this year because of Deshaun Watson. I think Watson's washed for one. And I don't think they're going to be very good.
I have them at 3-14, 0-6 in the division.
Yeah. You think they're going to be
so
real bad.
I think they're going to be real bad. I just don't see it. I don't think Deshaun's the answer. And I think they're going to have to eat a lot of dead money after this year. But they could prove me wrong. I'm not buying into the hype.
AFC East.
I have the Buffalo Bills winning the division with a 12-5 record, 5-1 inside the division.
I also have the Buffalo Bills winning the AFC East at 12-5 as well. There's a lot of hype for Jets, Dolphins, and the Bills, but it feels like a lot of people are taking the Bills lightly coming into the season. It just feels like to me anyway. They still have an MVP level quarterback in Josh Allen, and I think him and Diggs smoothed things over, whatever needed to be smoothed over. I love their first round pick, that tight end out of Utah. I forget his name. But defensively, always good. I just think they're going to be a force once again.
Yep, I think the Bills are going to be a force once again. Their defense, I do have some question marks on. I know they've made some changes as far as coordinator there. But Josh Allen, he's top three quarterback in my position, in my opinion. Definitely top five, but top three in my opinion in the league. He's got some good offensive weapons. Like you said, it is important for him and Diggs to get on the same page. But I think they do that, and they do have a tough schedule. the reason why I have them having 5 losses, but I do think they're just a little bit ahead of some of these other teams in the AFC West. Not by much though. Not by much.
I have the Dolphins finishing second and making the playoffs. I had to do it at 10-7. New defensive coordinator there, Vic Fangio, is a really good defensive mind. I think Jalen Phillips on that defense going to have an incredible year. Losing Jalen Ramsey will hurt. When their secondary was bad last year, but it was a bad defensive scheme. Offensively, they should put up a ton of points as long as Tua stays healthy. If he doesn't stay healthy, they're going to go.
That's the big question mark for them all season long.
Yeah.
I also have the Dolphins finishing second and making the playoffs with 11-6 record.
Ooh, yeah, you're a little higher on them than I am.
4-2 in the division. That's assuming, of course, Tua stays healthy. I think they have an explosive offense. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, even Raheem Mostert at running back. I mean, my goodness, to talk about 3 fast guys I just named.
Yeah.
So the Dolphins, for the first time in a long time, I mean, okay, maybe last year, but first time in a long time, I think are must-watch television outside of the Miami Dolphin fan base.
Yeah, for the first time. Yeah, besides last year.
Last year, yeah.
Came onto the scene, but they hadn't been for 20 years or so since Marino had been there, really. And that's why they have more primetime games than they've had in years.
And they deserve it.
And of course, made the playoffs last year. I have high expectations, and usually when I have high expectations, it comes falling just down hard. Offensive line still a major question mark. They haven't fixed that thing in a decade. Who knows if Teron Armstead's going to play week 1? If he doesn't, it could be interesting. But hopefully Tua's jiu-jitsu training, it's already paid dividends. They've kind of showed side-by-sides of him getting hit from last year, and the way he's fallen's a little different. So it's kind of taking pressure off him. But again, you take one wrong hit and you're out anyway. And I think that would be the end of Tua's career, to be honest.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Hopefully it doesn't happen. Obviously, hopefully it doesn't happen for him. Because I think he's a really good talent who was kind of coming into his own last year, and I hope it doesn't happen to the franchise, because if it does, they're done this year. So
yep. Well, speaking of high expectations, the team I have in third place, I think, has high expectations, higher than they've had in a long time. They have the longest playoff drought in the NFL. I think it dates back to 2010, if I'm not mistaken. That is the New York Jets. I have them at 10-7, 3-3 inside the division, just missing out on the playoffs.
I'm at 10-7 as well, finishing third. They're obviously going to be better. I think Garrett Wilson's a budding superstar there at wide receiver. Picking up Dalvin Cook, getting Breece Hall back. They should score more points than they have maybe the last 10 years combined, because that offense has been putrid. Defensively, they looked great last year, but you look at their schedule, they played a bunch of backup quarterbacks. So it'll be interesting now because they didn't have to face Tua at all last year. For one, that was just me throwing that in there. But Sauce Gardner obviously is going to be a candidate for Defensive Player of the Year, and because he plays in New York, he has this high hype around him. If he played in Carolina, I don't think we'd see nearly the hype he is getting, which I think is a really good player. Don't get me wrong, but I think they will be good, but I do have him missing out on the playoffs because I hate him so much.
And I think Aaron Rodgers will be good too.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see a lot of Jets haters and a lot of people that don't like Rodgers saying, he's washed. He's not going to play good. We haven't really seen that yet. Yeah. So I think he is going to do well. He'll do better than Brett Favre did in New York. Not that Favre was awful in New York, but Favre did better in his first year in Minnesota than he did in New York. So, so we both have the New England Patriots finishing last in the AFC East, something we haven't been able to say. And
I think I did last year.
Wow. Did you?
Yeah, but I'm at 5-12.
I'm 4-13 and winless in the division.
Yeah, not a believer in Mac Jones whatsoever. Last year was bad for him. I'm honestly surprised they cut Bailey Zapp because I thought he played better than Mac did last year. And yeah, it's proving that Bill Belichick, if he would not have had Tom Brady, I don't think he would have lasted too much longer as a head coach in the NFL.
Do you think this is Belichick's last year?
I honestly, we've been saying it for years now, and if they go 5-12 or even 7-10 or worse, I think we could definitely see that happening.
Definitely interesting times in New England for the first time in a while. And the AFC South. Who do you have winning the AFC South?
I think this will be top to bottom the worst division in football, in my opinion. But I do have the Jacksonville Jaguars winning that division at 10-7. I saw Peter King today said they were going to be the 1 seed in the AFC, which I don't see that at all. Calvin Ridley is back from suspension, so that'll help that offense out significantly. But they're expecting big things from Trevor Lawrence, but I don't buy it.
I am very, very high on this
no.
Jaguar tiny team. And maybe I should pick Trevor Lawrence over Joe Burrow for MVP, but I already said Joe Burrow. I have them at 14-3, 6-0 in the division.
Man, I don't
know what I'm drinking, some kind of Jaguar Kool-Aid. Maybe it's the Khan factor there. Shad Khan, Tony Khan, my AEW fandom there, but I like this team took that step forward, making the playoffs and advancing the playoffs last year. I think they got to keep momentum going because they had momentum years ago. I mean, they probably should have made the Super Bowl up 10 points in the fourth quarter in New England, choked that thing away, and then the franchise never was really the same since until last year. Yeah. It would be a great story for them to crawl out of the Urban Meyer hole this quickly. Yeah. But it all rests on number 16's shoulders, but I think they're going to be good on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, credit Doug Peterson, which we thought that was a great fit going in.
Yep.
It's proved to be that already. And, I mean, you look at them when they went, 13-3 a few years ago. That was Blake Bortles at quarterback. Now they have like an actual talent there.
I mean, the jump he made from rookie year to last year was pretty significant. If he can make another jump this year, they'll be in good shape.
Yep.
Who you got second?
Tennessee Titans at 7-10.
We are thinking the same. I also have them second, 7-10, 3-3 in the division.
Yeah, Will Levis looked bad in training camp anyway. I didn't watch him in the preseason. Tannehill's still there. Derrick Henry's still there. The defense will keep them in games.
They will.
But they just don't have enough offensive fire. And DeAndre Hopkins is there, so he should help if he has anything left in the tank, which I think he does. But you have a pretty black quarterback there.
Well, it's a mess at quarterback. I mean, you have three guys there at quarterback because Malik Willis, too.
He make the team?
I think he did. I haven't fact checked it, I guess, but I assumed he did. But yeah, that's just a mess. There's just a mess there. And I think Vrabel's a good coach, but I mean, I couldn't name you. I consider myself a pretty darn big NFL fan. I don't think I can name you too many Titans on the defense side of the ball.
Jarrell Casey still there?
I believe so. But I don't have much. I mean,
no, I don't have anything for you.
They're one of those teams that doesn't really get talked about. So. Yeah. Who do you have third?
After I saw the record for this team, man, I'm pretty high on them, and that is the Indianapolis Colts. I have them at 4-13, though, but I felt like that was pretty high.
Well, I'm going to get a lot of slack for this maybe too, but I was a lot higher in this than I really am on the Colts. I have them at 6-11.
Interesting.
3-3 in the division, and I'm sorry, Colt fans, even though I wait week by week, I guess I saw 6 wins there, but realistically, when I looked at their schedule before I did this, I didn't see 6 wins, so I don't know. I don't know what I bet I gave them a lot of home games or something. So,
which that does tend to happen to me. It feels like I'm picking the home team a little too much. But
will Anthony Richardson play good enough that the Colts aren't looking for a potential different quarterback option next year?
They better hope so. They spent a top 5 pick on that guy, so you can't be doing that 2 years in a row unless you're going to get a Caleb Williams type. So,
and Jonathan Taylor, what's your future prediction with him?
So the Colts are stupid. They literally asked the Dolphins for Jalen Waddle plus more. Jalen Waddle is one of the probably top 10 or 12 receivers in the NFL, and just because he's their number 2 guy doesn't mean he's an actual number 2.
Right.
And I saw Pat McAfee saying, how could you not give up Jalen Waddle for Jonathan Taylor? You don't do that for running back. Taylor had one good year.
And I like McAfee, but McAfee's kind of a spokesman for the Colts on a big national stage. So.
That's true. But, the Colts needed to have realistic expectations there, and they didn't. And the funny thing is, Irsay and the Colts are whining, well, no one's giving us the offer we think's fair enough. They aren't valuing him enough. Well, if you valued him enough, you would have signed him.
Yep. So, you would have paid him what he wants. So
yeah, you have zero leverage here, Colts.
Yep. Nope. They're stuck between a rock and a hard place, I feel like, with them. So So we both have the Texans finishing last. What's your record prediction for them?
3-14.
Me too. Yeah. I have them winless inside the division.
CJ Stroud was named the starter, and I watched the Dolphins-Texans preseason game, and he played about 3 quarters, and he looked pretty bad for a majority of it. He doesn't have many people to throw the ball to. His offensive line's bad. It's a bad team there.
Yeah, right. Because I think Stroud's going to be pretty good. I think D'Amico Ryans can be a good head coach someday, but it's going to take a few years. This team just has nothing. That's why I have them at 3-14. They just don't have talent to win games.
The bad part is NFL head coaches get about 2 years max anymore. They don't give them 4 or 5 years.
The Texans are about the worst franchise when it comes to that too. They need to give D'Amico some patience, and I think he's got a 5. If I'm not mistaken, 5-year contract. So that tells me they're gonna give him a little leash there. So let's do the AFC playoffs.
I have 5 seed Baltimore at 4 seeded Jacksonville, and I have Baltimore moving on in that one.
I have 5 seeded Baltimore at 4 seeded Buffalo, and I have Buffalo moving on.
I have 6 seeded Chargers at 3 seeded Buffalo with the Chargers moving on. I think they go in there and win. Yeah.
That would be huge for that franchise. I have 6 seeded Pittsburgh at the 3 seeded Cincinnati Bengals, and I have Joe Burrow and the Bengals moving on.
I have the 7 seeded Dolphins losing at the Cincinnati Bengals, the 2 seed.
I have the 7 seeded Dolphins losing in state at the 2 seeded Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh, if they lose to Jacksonville, I will be furious. I think the Dolphins are better than Jacksonville. That's just me, though.
You're gonna love the rest of my predictions.
Oh Lord. Then I have the 5 seeded. Actually, I think I screwed this up.
No.
Yeah, I have LAC winning, but I have here. Let's see. What did I do? 5 seeded. Okay, I just had a typo. My bad. 5 seeded Baltimore losing to the Cincinnati Bengals.
I have the 3 seeded Bengals going on the road down to the 2 seed Jacksonville, and the Jaguars making the AFC Championship.
Oh, man. I have the Chargers losing at Kansas City, and we have a rematch in the conference championship game, Cincinnati Bengals at the Kansas City Chiefs.
I have the Bills going into Kansas City. Always a good matchup when Josh Allen goes against Patrick Mahomes. But I have the Chiefs coming out victorious in Arrowhead, setting up for a Trevor Lawrence at Patrick Mahomes AFC Championship.
I have the Bengals over the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship. So the Bengals going to the Super Bowl 2 out of 3 years.
I love to make bold predictions and takes on this. I have the Jaguars going into Arrowhead, winning the AFC and representing the AFC in the Super Bowl.
That would be awful. That would be horrendous.
I did not know you didn't like the Jaguars.
I don't know. I hate all Florida teams now. I've grown to hate them. So.
Well, we're going to talk about a team later on when we talk college football that I'm starting to get a hatred of because of my Twitter feed. So I feel you there.
We probably should rifle through the NFC East here a little quicker than we did the AFC as we only have 27 minutes left. NFC East.
I got the Philadelphia Eagles winning that division at a record of 13-4, 5-1 in the division.
I also have the Eagles at 13-4 winning that division. I have Dallas finishing second at 12-5.
I do as well, 5-1 in the division. This division's top heavy. The top 2 are going to be pretty good.
Yeah. I have the Giants being okay at 8-9, finishing third.
I have them 7-10, 1-5 in the division, though. That's the big reason why they're finishing at 7-10.
Then I have the football team at 5-12, finishing fourth there. Sam Howell.
They're the Commanders now.
They are, aren't they?
You screw that up every year. I was
ready for you to call them Redskins.
Yeah. I have them at 2-15, 1-5. I don't think Sam Howell's the answer. Yeah. Ron Rivera will probably, unfortunately, get fired because I think their defense will be pretty good. I just don't think they got McClure.
They do have Eric Bieniemy. Remember that.
Oh, that's true. But 2-15, sticking with it. Yeah. Sticking with it.
NFC West.
This is a shock because I do it every year. I got the San Francisco 49ers at the top with a 14-3 record, 6-0 in the division.
I have the Niners win that division at 11-6. I want to see another good year from Purdy before I call him an actual good quarterback.
I just think he has so many good weapons around him, and I think the defense is going to be awesome. So
yeah, he does. I have the Seahawks making the playoffs at 9-8, finishing second.
I have the Rams second at 9-8, 3-3 in division, but just missing out on the playoffs.
I have the Rams finishing third at 8-9. I think they should be better.
I have the Seahawks third at 7-10, 3-3 in division. I think Geno takes a step back, and that's why we see him under with a losing record.
The Arizona Cardinals, I think they hired John Gannon or whatever his name is to fire him. His name John? Something Gannon. There in
I think it is John.
He looks like a joke so far. Some of his comments he's making. I don't know if you saw that video of him in the locker room.
Yes.
If anyone took the bus. So stupid.
Well, his handshake thing with Rondell Moore was weird. So from then on, I'm like, this guy's a goober.
Sounds like they're starting Joshua Dobbs at quarterback. I think they're going to move on from Kyler Murray too, because they want Caleb Williams, who I think is as close to Patrick Mahomes as a draft prospect as you can get. I have him going 1-16.
I got him 0-17.
There it is.
I had to pick one of them, didn't I?
I think I had him losing to Houston or somebody real bad, obviously, but or beating Houston, I should say.
Yeah.
But NFC North.
Let me find the North here. I got this as the most competitive division across the board from 1 to 4. I have the Lions coming out in a tiebreaker with the second team at 9-8, 3-3 in the division.
So I have the top team with 9 wins, the fourth team with 7 wins. So I'm right there with you. I have the Minnesota Vikings coming out on top at 9-8, obviously winning the division. But I have the Detroit Lions finishing second at 8-9 and making the playoffs, though. So
I have this second place team at 9-8 as well, 3-3, just like I had the Lions also making the playoff. Chicago Bears, you're welcome, Bears fans. You're welcome.
Bears fans are going to hate me because I have them finishing fourth at 7-10. I also have the Green Bay Packers at 7-10 by getting the tiebreaker over the Bears. I don't believe in Justin Fields yet. And as you say with your Twitter feed, seeing all this, I'm sure you're talking about Colorado, and we're going to talk about them. Because I follow a bunch of Cubs stuff, I have had to hear Justin Fields has just been shoved into my face, down my throat, how good he's going to be, and I don't buy it. So.
He's got to stay healthy, and he's got some weapons around now, but the offensive line has to improve. The defense is going to be good. I also have, to finish this out, the Vikings 8-9, 3-3, and the Packers 8-9, 3-3. I literally think I split every game between home and away for this division.
Maybe this is I don't know if this is the worst division in football. The NFC South. Both South divisions are pretty bad.
Yes.
I have the New Orleans Saints with Derek Carr there, winning that division at 9-8.
I do as well. Yep.
Tampa Bay, I was a little higher on them than I thought I was going to be. Baker Mayfield there. Mike Evans wants out. I don't know if he'll be traded by week 1. I think he will be traded eventually. But I have them finishing second at 8-9.
I can't believe this. I just saw this. I didn't look at my thing real closely. I have the Falcons 9-8, second division, making the playoffs.
Interesting. I was a little higher on the Falcons too. I have them 7-10, but I was surprised I had them with that many wins because I don't know.
I have both the Buccaneers and Panthers finishing 4-13. But the Buccaneers third, Panthers fourth. I don't think Baker's going to do well. I think Kyle Trask isn't the answer either. I think Bryce Young will be fine in Carolina, Frank Reich, but it's going to take some time there too. There's not a ton of talent down there in Carolina. So
yeah.
But I definitely think the Saints are the team to beat in this division, and I don't think it's a very good division at all.
Yeah. I have Carolina at 4-13 as well, so I don't think they're going to be very good. Playoff wise, number 5, I have number 5 Dallas at number 4 New Orleans.
I got number 5 Dallas losing on the road at number 4 Detroit. That would be a rematch of playoffs a while back when Calvin Johnson was still playing.
I have Dallas winning that one, and then I have the 6-seeded Seahawks at number 3 Minnesota, and I have Minnesota actually winning a playoff game. Kirk Cousins winning a playoff game and moving on.
6-seeded Bears traveling to 3-seeded New Orleans. That's right. New Orleans a 3-seed with a 9-8 record. New Orleans coming out victorious in that one.
I'd feel a lot better about the Broncos and Dolphins making the playoffs if they were in the NFC this year than I do the AFC.
100%.
Yeah. I have the 7-seeded Detroit Lions losing at the 2-seeded San Francisco 49ers.
I have the 7-seeded Atlanta Falcons losing at the 2-seeded Philadelphia Eagles.
I have the 3-seeded Minnesota Vikings losing at the 2-seeded San Francisco 49ers.
I've got to find my sheet here now. Where is it? Sorry about this. Keep going, Josh, while I find this.
I have, now that I see it, I have 2 rematches of the conference championships this year with the Bengals, Chiefs, and the 49ers at the Philadelphia Eagles, with the Eagles winning that one. To move on to the Super Bowl, to have a Bengals-Eagles Super Bowl. That would be a fantastic Super Bowl.
Yes, it would. Bengals-Eagles. Let me see. I found my NFC Championship one, but I'm not finding my conference which is crazy because I know I just did it for the NFC. Well, anyways, I don't know how I get there, but I have the Niners and the Eagles in the NFC Championship game, with the Niners being victorious over the Eagles. So my Super Bowl is the Jaguars and the Niners.
Man, that would be a brutal Super Bowl for me personally, because of my hatred for the Jacksonville Jaguars, but also because of my wife's uncle's love for the San Francisco.
Oh yes, I
49ers.
forgot about that.
When they lost the Eagles, we had one sympathy card, and I found it, and I wrote him a note like "Sorry for your loss" and sent it to him.
Oh man,
he absolutely loved it.
You know what they say about karma there.
Yeah, that's a good
and payback,
and
payback.
They'll get me back. But,
And payback.
I have the Cincinnati Bengals winning the Super Bowl against the Philadelphia Eagles.
I have the San Francisco 49ers winning the Super Bowl over the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh, that'd be miserable. That would be miserable.
It's going to be interesting to follow.
Yeah, it is.